slice and dice them to get various results in trying to pick out parts of text strings, because this will be one of the project options, would be to write a program that finds all of the keywords and counts them, etc. So we'll start small here. So we can just define a string. We'll call it A, and it's first few triplets in the alphabet, and then there's a space in between each one of those. And we can actually search for spaces, which would be good to do if you want to count all of the keywords. You need to find the spaces, and then we'll need to compare with a list. So I'm going to create an empty list, this B container, and you can make any empty list just with the square brackets and nothing in it. And I'm going to start a counter here. X is 0. And also want to print the length of A. And so the len function is built in. It gives you the length of any string. And so that'll run one of the first things in the program it runs. Now I got this loop here. So while the counter is, and it starts at 0, is less than the length of this string that we're going to search, do the following. First thing I'm going to do is ask if the string A at the current index is exactly equal to, that's what the double equal thing is, a blank. Notice I have a blank in there. Then do this. I'm going to let a new string be the A string all the way up to that point. That's what the :x does, is it takes everything up to and including the current position, actually one less than that, up to the blank. And then I'm going to create another variable that lets me extend, or you can use extend or append, doesn't really matter, the B, that empty list that I had, with the list so far. And so if it gets to a blank, it'll do these things, then pop out and index the counter one more. And if it doesn't have a blank, it'll just index the counter until it gets a blank. And so it'll go through all that until it gets to the end of the list, and it'll print these things. I want it to print what C looks like, what A, B, and D look like. And so if we run it, it'll want us to save. We get this output. And so this first part here was the length of the string, and then this was what C is, which was filling that container, or I'm sorry, what A is so far. But notice that it doesn't have the JKL, but D does. And so one of the things you'll want to document will be why that's the case. And then here in this part, we're printing B. So B is getting extended somehow, and why is it getting extended this way? So we want to try to figure that out, or hypothesize that. And then D, whatever none is. So this is something that we've got to figure out so that we can understand a little bit more about how these string things work. And so that's that basic function. So I'm going to get rid of that. And there's this other one. And I'm going to give you these codes. Here's a string, a sentence. Actually, it's a list, rather. You can tell it's a list because it's in these brackets. Anything goes in those brackets is what we call a list. And this is a tuple, because when you fill a list with strings, that's basically what it is. So this is a sentence. And then I defined what non-keywords were. Is a, the, and a period. Just it's part of the string there. Now there's this really cool feature in Python where you can find the intersection of sets, provided that you tell them to be a set. Catchy, huh? So I'm going to let A be the set that is the sentence, and I'm going to let B be the set that's all the non-keywords. then I can assign unused variables to be the intersection, A intersection B, B intersection of A, to see if there's any difference between those two. And guess what? You can subtract these sets. And so we'll print what C is, what the intersection is, and we'll print D2. We might as well do that. So let's save this puppy, let her rip. So it looks like the two intersections, C and D, they're the same, and then X is the difference. And notice that instead of this is a sentence period, it just has the two keywords, this and sentence. So I guess this probably isn't a keyword, but it is the way we defined it. So I want you to play around with these, alter them, see what you can get done with them. You're going to have to look up some things, use the internet, and find out what intersections and lists and all that stuff have in the documentation. And then be thinking about a project. How would you use this? How would you build upon this to, say, search a text document? We haven't got into pulling in text documents yet, but you can do that. And then, of course, you can search a document for words and return the keywords. And so that's one of the things that I'd like to see somebody do as a project, maybe several people, maybe all of you. But we'll get to that here in a couple of weeks.